Heartwarming act of a black waitress saves billionaire's daughter. Doctor reveals shocking poisoning incident. Maya was in her element, gliding between tables, as the savory aroma of her diner's comfort food filled the air. The jukebox played classic tunes, and the laughter of regulars echoed like a warm embrace, drowning out the storm brewing outside. Nestled among the chaos, she smiled at familiar faces, serving steaming cups of coffee and hearty plates to those who came to find solace in her little haven in the heart of Chicago. But today felt different, charged with an energy she couldn't quite place. It was just past noon when the chaos erupted. Maya was pouring a fresh cup for Mr. Jackson, the grumpy but lovable retiree, when she heard a screech followed by gasps cascading from the back. Emily, the bright-eyed daughter of a tech billionaire, sat there, clutching her throat, her face turning a shade of worry. Time stood still for Maya, the room fading beneath the weight of the moment. In a heartbeat, she was at Emily's side. Forgetting everything, the diner, class disparities, her own daughter Zoe waiting at home, Maya reached for Emily, her years of training kicking in like a shot of adrenaline. "Breathe, Emily. Focus on me," she urged, her voice steady amid the rising tide of panic. The sight of fear in those blue eyes pulled at her heart, igniting a fire within her. She was not just a waitress, she was a lifeline. Every second felt like an eternity. As she performed the Heimlich maneuver, the room fell silent, breaths held in anxious anticipation, eyes wide with disbelief. And then, a cough, followed by a torrent of relief as the remnants of the poisoned dish propelled forth. It was a moment woven together by threads of compassion, one that bridged their starkly different worlds. But when the storm passed, and the bareness of reality settled back into place, whispers coursed through the diner like the electric hum of the neon signs outside. Praise dripped from reluctant tongues, but a chill of ambivalence lingered. Emily's family, with their wealth and influence, offered Maya a lifeline, a job promising security. But at what cost? As thoughts swirled around her head, the bitter pang of inadequacy twisted in her gut. What would it mean to abandon her world for theirs? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Despite the glitter of opportunity, Maya's voice echoed in the hallways of the diner as she confronted the painful realities of her life and the lives of those around her. Her determination rippled out during the community meeting that followed, where she stood firm against the whispers of elitism. "We are more than our incomes," she proclaimed, and the room vibrated with emotion. In that moment, Emily, hovering at the margins, understood the fractures that divided them, the unseen walls built on privilege and prejudice. It sank beneath her skin, sparking a journey of her own that she had never anticipated. Now, as Maya stood stolid and unwavering, looking into Emily's searching gaze, the weight of their struggles felt palpable, thick like the humidity of a summer's day. Both women stood at the precipice of change, but would they embrace it? Would their stories join to forge a new narrative? The flickering diner lights barely illuminated the vast uncertainties swirling about them, and yet hope lingered in the air, eager to emerge from the shadows. Maya's heart still raced from the adrenaline of Emily's near miss, the weight of the moment anchoring her to the spot. The jukebox had returned to its gentle crooning, but the atmosphere had shifted. Conversations resumed, but the tension hung thick, as if the diner itself held its breath. Emily took a step closer, her eyes reflecting a perplexed mix of gratitude and uncertainty. "Thank you, Maya." Her voice faltered, the stark contrast between their worlds suddenly pressing in on both of them. "I don't know how to repay you." Just do me a favor, Maya said, her own voice steady but laced with emotion. Take this moment and use it. Change something. She felt something deep within her shift, anger at the disparities, and frustration mingled with the flicker of hope. It resonated in a way she hadn't expected. A few patrons in the diner turned their heads, murmurs bubbling to the surface. Mr. Jackson raised his cup in a toast to heroes. The words sparked a ripple of laughter and applause that wove through the room. But Maya stood apart, her gnarled fingers gripping the edge of the counter instead of joining in. This moment wasn't just about her. It was bigger. The invitation extended by Emily's family loomed in her mind, one that promised her an enviable position, the glistening car, the house in the suburbs. It painted a perfect picture, but the brushstrokes of her heart displayed the reality of her community, her people. Emily, Maya began cautiously, still locked in a gaze that felt electric. If you want to learn about life outside your bubble, you have to step out of it. Emily's expression hardened for just an instant, then softened. You're right, she conceded, taking a deep breath. I will find a way to help. There was a fire in her voice that Maya hadn't expected to see. A silence lingered between them, a mix of understanding and unspoken promises. The diner buzzed around them, but in that moment, they were an island. Then Emily pointed to the back of the diner, where a small event flyer clung to the bulletin board. What about this? Maya turned to look, her heart skipping as the words Community Awareness Fair swam into view. It was an opportunity for local businesses to come together, showcasing their successes and challenges. If done right, it could bring awareness to her working-class neighbors, the struggles they faced often overshadowed by wealth. That's it, she mumbled. Could this be the ground where change began? Let me help, Emily said, her eyes shining with newfound purpose. And maybe you can help me understand more about Chicago, about your community? Maya hesitated. Was this just another empty promise from someone who didn't quite grasp her world? But as she looked into those blue eyes, she saw sincerity. Perhaps they both had something to learn, a thread that could weave their lives closer together. Suddenly, the door swung open, and a wave of wind swept through the diner, carrying with it an influx of voices and laughter from the streets. Maya's thoughts scattered with the wind, her heart uneasy. Could a partnership bloom from such different roots? As the clock ticked away, she played with the thought, feeling the hope surge again. Could Emily and she forge a bridge where walls had long been built? The realization hung heavy in the air as she nodded slowly. All right, let us start there. But remember, it's more than just appearances. We have to dig deep. Emily smiled, a spark flickering back to life in her spirit. Let us do it together. But as Maya smiled back, a shadow crossed her face. The reality of her responsibilities at home tugged at her. Could she balance this potential partnership with her duties as a mother? Outside, the thunder crackled, sending a shiver through the windowpanes. The storm wasn't just coming from the weather, it was brewing inside her. The warmth of Emily's hand grasping her shoulder felt both reassuring and burdensome. Together, she reiterated, her confidence unwavering. Yet, unbeknownst to both women, a storm of another kind was brewing, a lurking threat that would soon challenge the fragile bridge they began to build. Maya couldn't shake the weight of uncertainty as they started planning the Community Awareness Fair. She had to juggle this new venture with her responsibilities at home, and every tick of the clock reminded her of the little ones waiting for her. What would they think if she spent her time at meetings instead of with them? First things first, Emily said with a determined nod, pulling out her phone. We need to gather a list of local businesses. How about we brainstorm over coffee? Maya simply nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and trepidation. It was just coffee. A casual moment turned into something bigger in her heart. But as they left the diner, the atmosphere shifted again. The rain began to beat down, drumming against the pavement like a hurried heartbeat. Each drop felt like a reminder of the challenges they were about to face. They found a cozy cafe, warm and inviting amid the storm. As they settled into their seats, Emily eagerly tapped away on her device, her face illuminated by the glow of the screen. Maya took a moment to study her. This was a girl raised in a mansion, unaware of the political debates that lingered at the edges of those with less. "Maya," Emily said, breaking her reverie, "what kinds of businesses should we reach out to? We need to make this fair meaningful." Maya leaned back, letting a nostalgic smile flicker on her lips. "We should start with Manuel's fruit stand. He's got the best produce in the neighborhood. And Maria's bakery, her pastries make people stop mid-step and smile." Emily nodded, jotting down names with enthusiasm. "Perfect. And what about the schools? Maybe they could put on performances?" "Yes," Maya exclaimed, her heart lightening. Thinking of her children on stage, bright-eyed and proud, made the burdens she carried seem lighter. We could showcase student talents. That could draw a crowd. As the conversation flowed, Maya felt the pulse of possibility quicken within her. She hadn't realized how thirsty her heart had been for someone to share her vision. But then the shadows crept in again. "What about your family?" Emily asked, digging a little deeper without realizing it. "Do you think they would be supportive of all this?" Maya hesitated, the smile fading from her face. The sound of their laughter began to fade into the background. "They worry, my kids. They need me to be there. I don't want to let them down." A flicker of understanding crossed Emily's face. "They could see you achieving something amazing, though. You know, I believe in you." Maya looked down at her hands. "What if I can't balance it all? What if I fail?" Emily reached across their small table, her fingers hovering over Maya's. "You and T, together, we can make this happen. Don't forget that." The sincerity in Emily's voice tugged at Maya's heartstrings. But as the cafe filled with the chatter of customers, and the heavy rain continued to pound outside, urgency crept in. Maya returned to her thoughts, the gnawing anxiety returning. What would happen when things got tough, when doubts surfaced? She turned her gaze to the storm, a mix of hope and fear swirling within her. Finally, they settled on a plan for their first meeting, excitement bubbling between them again. Yet, in the brief moments of laughter, a darkness loomed. There were whispers outside the cafe, voices tied to the storm they hadn't anticipated. "Let us get our plan on paper," Emily said, her voice bright but shadowed by uncertainty. But Maya sensed something darker brewing, something that would challenge not just their partnership, but the very heart of their communities. As they gathered their notes, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that they had only scratched the surface. A new challenge approached, one that would threaten the unity they were beginning to forge. What if we're not prepared for what comes next? Maya pondered, her heart racing as adrenaline kicked in again. Outside, the wind howled, bringing with it a shrill warning that neither woman could interpret just yet. Maya's heart still pounded as they stepped out into the storm. The rain had let up a bit, but the air was thick with tension. She glanced at Emily, whose face was filled with eagerness, maybe even a hint of nervousness. The cafe had been a sanctuary, but now they were out in the wild, untested waters challenging them to swim. As they walked, the chatter of the city surrounded them. A child laughed nearby, chased by the shadow of a parent trying to shield them from the rain. But for Maya, the sound quickly faded into white noise, her mind consumed by what lay ahead. "I was thinking," Emily started, breaking the momentary silence as they headed toward the community center where their first meeting was set. "What if we invited some local artists too? Not just the schools, but musicians, painters. People could showcase their work." Maya thought for a moment. "That's a brilliant idea. It could really draw in different crowds and spotlight our community as talents." She felt a spark of inspiration, imagining the vibrant colors and sounds filling the center. But then, A weight settled in her stomach. What if no one shows up? She asked, the words slipping out before she could stop them. Emily shrugged. Then, we keep going. It's a start, remember? Each big event is just a series of small steps. Maya wanted to believe that was true. But behind that optimism lurked the fear of failure, the tight knot of anxiety she'd been unraveling since the discussions began. She watched her reflection in the rain-slick sidewalk. Maya? Emily called, bringing her back. You okay? You look a bit lost over there. I'm fine, Maya replied hastily, pushing away her worries with a blink. Just daydreaming. They arrived at the community center. Everything seemed ordinary until she spotted a group forming inside, and within it, people from all walks of life. Excitement bubbled in her chest, but along with it, the familiar doubt crept back in. Let us take a deep breath, Emily said, sensing her unease as they stood on the threshold. We got this. Maya inhaled, absorbing the lively murmurs, feeling a spark of determination soar in her chest. They stepped inside, and as the door swung open, she was hit with a wave of warmth and familiarity. She felt like she was stepping into a second home, the walls painted with past memories and future hopes. Participants were bustling around, exchanging ideas and mingling with a sense of purpose. Maya scanned the crowd, taking in the faces of neighbors and friends, people she'd known but had never connected with in this way. The possibilities danced in her mind, alive and brilliant. Maya? A voice called out. It was Mrs. Ortega, the retired librarian from down the street. She approached with her signature bright smile. It's so good to see you. I heard about this fair. What can I do to help? Maya felt a wave of warmth wash over her. We're still figuring it out, but your expertise in storytelling could be invaluable. Encouragement swelled in her heart as the evening unfolded. Ideas were thrown around like confetti, potlucks, workshops, and live music. Each proposal bolstered Maya's spirits, yet still, the gnawing anxiety lingered in the back of her mind like an unwanted guest. As the meeting continued, Maya's gaze shifted toward the exit. Shadows loomed from outside, darker and thicker than before. A chill ran through her at the thought of whatever was brewing out there, ready to clash with their budding plans. Let us plan a community cleanup. Someone shouted from the back, and the room erupted in agreement. Maya clapped along but couldn't shake off the sense of something unfinished, something hidden in the storm outside. An unexpected hush fell over the group as the winds whipped harder, rattling the windows. The atmosphere shifted, something approaching. She felt it in her bones. Maya? Emily's eyes widened with concern, but also a mixture of thrill. What if this storm is just the beginning? What if we're about to wake something in this community? Maya swallowed hard, her pulse racing. But what if it's something we're not ready to face? The lights flickered, and a collective hush fell over the center. All eyes turned toward the door as it slowly creaked open, wild winds flooding the room, and the unmistakable sound of someone shouting through the chaos froze Maya in her tracks. Help! Someone else out there! Her heart dropped, fear coursing through her, yet a flicker of courage ignited. They had only begun to forge a connection, but now, that connection would be tested in the most unexpected way. What awaited them on the other side of that door? Maya's body tensed as the door swung wider, revealing a figure struggling against the wrath of the storm outside. The breath of icy wind hissed through the community center, carrying with it a sense of urgency. A man stumbled in, drenched and panting, his eyes wild with desperation. He looked disheveled, the kind of disarray that stirred pity but also concern. Please, he gasped, clutching the frame of the door. There's an accident. A woman, she needs help. The silence in the room shifted from apprehension to action. Eyes darted between Maya, Emily, and the strangers around them. The words of the man seemed to echo and amplify in Maya's mind, heightening her anxiety and sparking an instinctive desire to help. "Who?" someone finally asked, stepping forward. It was Mrs. Ortega, her face betraying worry beneath her usual bright demeanor. He swallowed hard, scanning their faces. "My sister? She had an accident near the old bridge. I can't get her, please, someone." Emily's hand tightened on Maya's arm, her voice a mere whisper. "Should we?" "What if no?" Maya interrupted, shaking her head, her mind racing. "What if we can't? What if we fail to help?" But even as she spoke, the resolute look in the man's eyes cracked through her hesitation. The bond of a community surged within her. This was not about just another project. It was life, raw and urgent. "We can't just let her suffer," Maya finally said, her voice steadying as she turned to the group. "We have to do something." After a moment, Emily nodded in agreement. "Let us go. There is safety in numbers." Together, they rallied those willing to join them, a small group forming amid the uncertainty. She felt a surge of bravery blossom in her chest. Maybe this storm was not just a harbinger of troubles, but a chance to unite in purpose. As they piled out of the community center, the biting wind and drenching rain assaulted them. But Maya hardly noticed. She felt alive, soaked to the skin yet fueled by a newfound purpose. The group moved swiftly, navigating the chaotic streets. Each step echoing with a pulse of urgency, they called out to each other, their voices merging with the storm. Maya kept her eyes on the man, absorbing his direction, his desperation. "Just a few blocks from here." His voice fought against the wind. "We can't waste time." With the lights of nearby houses flickering like stars against the darkened sky, they pressed on. They slipped through puddles, rain stinging their eyes, the path ahead flickering uncertainly between light and shadow. As they neared the bridge, Maya's heart raced. She felt the storm around her, and the determined people by her side. Each breath drew her deeper into this moment, amplifying the sense of duty and empathy she had locked away for too long. Suddenly, a piercing cry cut through the wild song of the storm. It was faint yet clear enough to freeze them in their tracks. Maya felt the blood drain from her face. "Did you hear that?" someone gasped, the reality of the situation dawning on them all. The urgency was no longer abstract. It became a singular goal. "Keep moving," Maya shouted, her voice strong despite the fear gnawing at her insides. Every step brought them closer, but would they be too late? The bridge loomed ahead, shrouded in darkness. Trees whipped fiercely, silhouetted like ghosts against the backdrop of lightning flashes. With a sudden resolve, Maya pushed forward, leading the charge as if propelled by the strength of the community she had only begun to know. Just as they reached the edge, she caught sight of a motion below, the unmistakable outline of someone tangled beneath the railing. Her breath caught in her throat. "Hold on," she shouted, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Help is coming." With every second that passed, she knew they had a choice: step back into fear or embrace the storm head-on. The choice was clear, but the stakes had never felt higher. Would they be able to bring the woman to safety? Would the storm yield to their collective strength? Each question hung heavy in the air as they stood on the threshold of a life-or-death moment. The answers awaited them just beyond that darkened bridge. Maya's heart pounded as she took in the sight of the woman struggling below the railing. The rain poured down relentlessly, obscuring her vision, but the faint outline of the woman's body was unmistakable. It was a race against time, and they were all in it together. "Someone get down there," she yelled, waving the group closer. A few of them hesitated, but others rushed forward, their determination ignited by her call. Emily was beside Maya, her face set with a mix of fear and fierce resolve. "Let us go! We need to form a chain," Emily shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. They quickly organized into a line, each person clinging to the next. The wind howled around them, but Maya felt a sense of unity growing among her makeshift team. Maya's gaze met the man's, and suddenly, she understood the weight of his worry. His sister was down there, and every moment felt like it could slip through their fingers. They lowered themselves carefully, inch by inch, their feet slipping on the wet ground. Maya felt the sting of rain against her cheeks, a numbing reminder of the urgency. "We're coming! Hold on!" she called, hoping against hope the woman could hear her. As they reached the edge of the railing, Maya could see the woman more clearly now. She was lying on the ground, her clothes muddy, and her face streaked with rain and tears. At first, it seemed she was unconscious. But then, just as Maya's fear intensified, the woman stirred slightly, groaning. "Stay with us," Maya urged, adrenaline flooding her system. "Help is here." But would they reach her in time? The thought twisted painfully in her gut. "Good, just a little longer," Emily called back, her voice steadying as she focused on pulling one of the more able-bodied members closer to the edge to lend their muscles to the rescue. Together, they formed a solid chain, a well-oiled machine of movement and determination. "Grab her arm, both of you." "On the count of 3, Maya shouted, knowing every second counted. The man below was beside his sister, his eyes wild with desperation and hope. 1, 2, 3. They pulled together, adrenaline electrifying the air as they hoisted the woman closer, inch by inch. It was a labor against nature itself. As they finally managed to grasp her, Maya felt sheer relief wash over her, a moment of triumph in the roaring storm. Once they had her, they were forced to adjust quickly. She was unconscious but breathing, their mission not yet complete. "We need to get her up," Maya shouted over the roar of the wind. Suddenly, another crack of thunder resonated ominously above, and the torrent of rain intensified. The bridge began to shake beneath their feet. "Hurry!" Maya yelled, sensing the precariousness in the moment. With every ounce of strength, they pulled, the woman's limp body now within reach. Just as they began to lift her, a gust of wind knocked Maya back, and she stumbled, catching herself at the last second on the slick railing. She fought to regain her balance, her heart racing. "Hold on!" Emily cried, her fingers straining to grip the woman's arm. In that moment, a bolt of lightning split the sky, illuminating their operation for just a fraction of a second, highlighting the desperate urgency of the scene. A heavy weight pressed down on Maya's chest. "We can't lose her," she thought, pushing forward, drawing strength from the others. As she locked eyes with the man again, something beyond fear flickered within her hope. Finally, with one collective effort, they pulled the woman up and onto solid ground. A cheer broke from the group, equal parts relief and disbelief. Maya collapsed to the ground, the rain soaking her clothes, but she scarcely noticed. "Is she okay?" The man breathed, rushing forward to cradle his sister in his arms. She was pale, her eyes fluttering, but she was alive. Everyone breathed easy for a moment, relief washing over them like the rain. But Maya couldn't shake the feeling that their challenges weren't over yet. She glanced up, drawn toward the bridge, where the storm still raged. "Is anyone hurt?" someone asked nervously. But Maya didn't have the answer. She felt the urgency within. Things weren't just right yet. As they considered their next steps, the thunder rumbling seemed to shake the ground beneath them, a reminder that nature still had the upper hand. What if disaster wasn't done with them? "Let us clear the bridge before something worse happens," Maya urged, rising unsteadily to her feet. The storm was relentless, but they had learned one powerful lesson. Would they be able to gather everyone and make it back safely? How many more lives might they still need to save before the storm passed? The flickering uncertainty loomed larger than the raging storm ahead of them. Maya steadied herself, shaking off the remnants of exhaustion. The rain drummed around her like an urgent heartbeat, and the world felt chaotic yet alive with possibility. She glanced at the man, still cradling his sister, relief softening the lines of his face, but worry lingering in his eyes. "Can you stand?" Maya asked him, her voice barely rising above the storm. He nodded, determination shining through even the weariness. "Help me get her to safety," he said, shifting his sister carefully in his arms. With a flicker of understanding, Maya joined him, her fingers finding a secure grip beneath the woman's shoulders. Emily stepped up to help too, meeting Maya's gaze with a firm nod of solidarity. Together, they moved towards the edge of the bridge, each step a fight against the wind and rain. But the weight of the woman, though tangible, was the only burden they carried. The barrier of uncertainty loomed in front of them. How many others remained at risk here? "Everyone, gather around," Maya called out to the group as they neared the bridge's center. A handful of others, already visibly shaken, stepped forward, drawn by the urgency in her tone. "We need to move ourselves. Head for the path on this side. Stay close. I can't lose anyone else." They formed a chain of their own. A frightened but determined mix of strangers, united by the storm and the vulnerability it exposed. Maya's heart raced with adrenaline and empathy as they helped each other traverse the slick surface. The bridge shook again, more violently this time, as the storm showed no signs of relenting. Maya could hear it in the crack of thunder, an angry roar that filled her with panic. Fear crept back in as a tremor of doubt whispered, was this rescue actually reckless? The man beside her suddenly stumbled, his grip faltering as he shifted his sister to balance them both. "Hang on!" he shouted, panic bleeding into his voice. "We've got you," Maya assured him, her voice steady, urging strength back into her own limbs. It was all too much water pouring from the sky, the wind howling. But there was also something beautiful within this chaos, a raw connection that transcended their fears. "Keep moving. We can't let anything break this chain," Emily yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos. They pushed forward, uniting their efforts, inching closer to the other side, their collective will igniting a flicker of hope in the gloom. With each narrow escape, each inch they moved, pieces of worry fell away. Yet, the storm felt relentless, a mocking reminder of nature's power. Just when they thought they were in the clear, a gust of wind swirled around them, sending debris crashing against the railing. "Duck!" Maya shouted, instinctively pulling the woman closer, shielding her from the onslaught. Emily and the man followed suit, their bodies intertwining like vines, seeking refuge in each other's strength. "Is everyone okay?" Maya called out, her own heart racing at the sudden danger. Murmurs of affirmation came, shaky but reassuring. The group resumed their progress, the sheltering warmth of their unity wrapping around them like a lifeline. They were in it together, no one left behind. Slowly but surely, they approached the southern edge of the bridge, hope blooming once more. As they drew nearer, the rain began to soften, though the sky remained heavy with clouds. Was it too early to breathe easy? There were still questions swirling in Maya's mind. "Almost there," she whispered, the bitter taste of doubt beginning to fade. But just as they reached the end, a flash of lightning cracked the sky, illuminating the bridge before them. In that bright moment, Maya caught sight of more shadows in the distance, people still struggling against the storm, caught in the remnants of uncertainty and fear. "They need help," Maya exclaimed, her heart aching at the sight. Would their united resolve push them forward again, ready to face even greater challenges? The pull of desperation tangled with a flicker of bravery. Step by step, together, they could make a difference. But how much longer could they endure this storm? The next move weighed heavy in her chest, leaving her with a question: would they turn back to save more lives, or was it finally time to seek safety for themselves? Maya's heart raced as she stood at the precipice of choice. The flickering shadows of those still caught in the storm beckoned her. She felt a tug within her, a call to action stronger than her desire for safety. With the wind whipping fiercely around them, she turned to the man holding his sister. "Can you manage?" she asked, fear creeping under her skin. He looked at her, eyes filled with both gratitude and desperation. "I can. Just tell me what to do," he replied resolutely. Emily's face mirrored Maya's determination. "There's strength in numbers. We can't abandon them." The group, feeling the collective weight of their decisions, nodded in agreement. Maya felt a rush of adrenaline as they linked their arms tighter, resolute in their mission. Each person had their own struggles, fears etched into their expressions, but in that moment, they forged a bond that was palpable, a shared purpose that cut through the chaos. "All right then. Let us do this," she shouted, her voice rising above the wind. They pivoted on the slick bridge, taking a moment to reorient themselves and focus on the daunting task ahead. Maya led the way, heart pounding, as they stepped back into the storm. The rain felt like knives against her skin, but she focused on the figures in the distance. She squinted through the downpour, the shadows starting to take shape as they closed the distance. "Over here!" one of the voices shouted, desperate and cracking. They surged forward, every step feeling heavier than the last. The figures soon became clearer, a small group huddled together, a mix of families and individuals seeking shelter from the raging elements. Maya's heart ached at the sight, their expressions filled with fear and vulnerability. "Hang on! We're coming!" she called out, her voice steadying with purpose. As they reached the stragglers, the group's collected determination mixed with rising panic. "There's too many! We can't help them all!" one woman shouted, her panic mirrored in the faces around her. Maya felt the heat rise in her chest, a mix of determination and dread. "We have to try," she insisted, meeting the gazes of everyone gathered. "We can't just leave them. Every life matters." The man with the sister nodded, the fire in his eyes igniting an ember in others too. "Together. We can do this together," he encouraged. They split into two teams, one to rescue the closest few, while the others searched for stragglers further down the bridge. Maya was surprised by the calm that enveloped her, as if the storm had created a still space inside her where fear couldn't reach. They moved as one, pulling each person towards safety with urgency. Maya felt their hands clasp over her own, a tangible softening of what could have been sharp edges. Hope mingled with the spray of rain, each life rescued becoming a lifeline for her spirit. But just then, one of the rescued shouted back, "There's someone trapped. I can't see him." The urgency in the other's voice rang out, sending a ripple of anxiety through the crowd. Maya's heart sank as she scanned the bridge. Shadows loomed yet again, suggesting another set of lives in peril. She glanced back at the group, a powerful mix of fear and courage weaving through their faces. "Who's with me?" she asked, voice firm and unwavering, even when doubt nibbled at her resolve. Would they push forward once more? Was it truly safe to keep risking it all? As thunder boomed overhead, she couldn't shake the growing weight in her gut, a premonition of a greater challenge to come. Could she trust their strength one more time, when uncertain horizons lay ahead? Maya steeled herself as she took a step further into the tempest. The chaos around them was a whirlwind of crying voices and pounding rain. The desperation clung to the air like the rising mist, thick and suffocating. But beneath it all, something fierce ignited their hearts, a shared will that made them feel almost invincible. "Let us check below the bridge. We might have a chance," she shouted, clenching her teeth against the biting wind. The man with his sister nodded, his face set like stone, determination lighting his eyes. Together, they pushed through the downpour, their feet slipping on the slick surface, but their spirits unyielding. The volume of their gathering grew, stepping over debris and peering into the darkness below the bridge. As they descended, Maya felt a shudder run through her body, not from the cold, but from the haunting uncertainty. Would they truly find someone? Or were they walking into more danger? Everyone spread out. "We'll cover more ground," she instructed, a plan forming quickly. Each team member moved with urgency, scanning the shadows. Maya could feel her heart racing, a thunderous drum echoing in her ears. With every heartbeat, she called out names. "Is anyone down there?" The desperation in her voice was just for the ones lost, but also in fear of what could happen to them. She knelt and peered into a dark crevice, hoping for a glimpse of life. Nothing but swirling water stared back. "Over here!" Another voice broke through the roar of the storm. It was shaky, filled with terror. Maya's pulse quickened. Rushing toward the sound, she clapped her hand against a thick metal beam, steadying herself as she swung around. But as she ducked beneath the bridge, the terrible sight unfolded. A young girl, no older than 8, was pinned against the wall, her tiny hands clutching a ragged backpack. The floodwaters obscured her feet, and terror painted her face. Maya couldn't breathe for a moment. Everything faded except the sound of the child's sobs. "Hold on. We're going to get you out," she called, her voice breaking through the din. She clambered further inside the bridge's structure, while the rest of the group's voices faded to a whisper in the back of her mind. I can't move," the girl cried, her wide eyes glistening with fear. Maya stretched out her arms, reaching toward the child. "Just keep your eyes on me. We're going to pull you to safety." One step forward turned into a fight for balance. The water raced and undulated, threatening to consume her whole. She heard panic rise among her team, but she pushed it away. Just focus on the girl." With a heave, the girl's hands found Maya's. "I want to let go," she shouted. But the current surged, a great rush of water snatching at Maya's feet, sending her slipping backward. Strain etched into her limbs, she planted herself firmly, gripping the beam. "You can do this. Fight with me." Her words ignited the fierce spirit that swelled around them. The other rescuers lunged forward, bracing to pull them both. Maya felt the ground beneath her shift under the weight of the water, but the warmth of the girl's grip steadied her. "We'll be okay," she reassured, breath coming in quick bursts. And then, just as the girl surged forward with a last push, the bridge shuddered. Maya felt a crack beneath her feet, the sound like thunder reverberating through her bones. This was just a storm. It was an obstacle they might not overcome. Heart pounding, Maya turned back to the males in the team. "We need to go. Now!" But even as they pulled on the girl, something deep in Maya's gut, something heavy, warned her. What if this storm was just against them, but had far deeper implications? The girl screamed again, breaking through the rising tide of chaos. As they strained against the treacherous waters, the shadow of uncertainty loomed larger than before. Would they make it back, or would this bridge become a grave? The sound of snapping would echo too close for comfort. With adrenaline coursing through her veins, Maya's heart hammered, racing towards an answer she dreaded. Would they conquer not just the storm, but whatever was lurking within it? Maya felt the pulse of fear race through her, a visceral reminder that they were navigating not just rough waters, but also their deepest anxieties. As the bridge shook ominously beneath them, she locked eyes with the girl. "You're going to be brave for me, okay? We're going to get you out." With every ounce of strength, she pulled the girl closer, the rest of the group rallying around them, hands clutching desperately but determinedly. "Keep pulling," someone shouted, the urgency igniting a flame of resolve within the group. Maya focused on the girl, who squirmed but held on tightly, her grip fierce despite her fear. In that heart-stopping moment, Maya felt the ground shift again. It was like the bridge itself was warning them. "We have to move," she yelled again, her voice rising above the roar of the storm. "The water is rising. Now is our time." As they strained, the sounds of the storm faded into a collective roar of determination. Every person there drew energy from one another, their hands a lifeline, fueling their shared will to reach safety. The shadows around them were heavy, But something incredibly powerful surged within Maya's heart. This was not just about survival. It was about community. "On three," she called, feeling adrenaline course through her veins. 1, 2, 3. With that, everyone pulled with a fierce grit, every ounce of worry washing away in the effort of collective strength. The girl surged forward, and with one final pull, she was free. Cheers erupted around them as they clasped onto her small frame, narrowly avoiding the rising waters. Maya felt a jolt of relief as she swept the girl from the torrent, cradling her against her chest, and for a brief moment, they were safe. The sound of thunder still roared overhead, but in this tightly knit circle of arms and voices, something beautiful mingled with desperation. Just as they turned back toward the group, Maya felt the tremors underfoot worsen, forcing them into action again. "Back to the path," she yelled, guiding the girl and the others with unwavering direction, her heart racing. They moved as a unit, stepping cautiously but confidently across the treacherous terrain. As they made it back toward the more stable ground, the storm began to relent slightly, not enough to be comfortable, but enough to send a thread of hope through Maya's heart. Suddenly, a familiar face emerged through the rain. Mr. Jackson, the old retiree from the diner, waved to them, his sturdy presence a beacon of solidarity. "Maya, we're here," he shouted, pulling alongside her. "Everyone is accounted for. Let us get back." That flicker of hope ignited into a flame. The sense of community, of perseverance, surged through the air, pulling each rescuer toward safety. Maya felt her spirit lift even as the winds howled around them. Once back on the safest part of the ground, they huddled together, breathless but alive, the warmth of human connection coursing like wildfire. The man cradled his sister tightly, tears in his eyes, but gratitude overflowing, each person understanding intuitively that they had moved mountains together, overcoming a storm no one could predict. "Thank you," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion as he spoke for all of them. "You saved her. You saved us all." Maya looked around, seeing the mix of faces showing relief, fatigue, and something deeper, a shared transformation. Emily stepped forward, her eyes shining, heart still racing from the adrenaline. "Look what we did," she beamed. "Look what happens when we come together." In that moment, Maya felt the stirrings of what they had started. The storm had thrown them into chaos, but it had also united their threads, forcing them to weave tighter together. The bridge under which they had struggled suddenly didn't feel so shaky. They had each grown, confronting fears head-on, and learning that community means lending hands, hope, and hearts when it matters most. As rain finally began to ease, it felt like an invitation. "Let us take this momentum to the community fair," Maya said, her voice steady with newfound purpose. "Let us not only bring our talents, let us build real connections. This storm showed us we're stronger together." Everyone nodded, smiles breaking through the remnants of fear like rays of sunlight piercing the gloom. And then, they walked back, side by side, celebrating survival and the bright colors of hope, knowing together they could face whatever came next. It was a moment of transformation, of realization that even amid the darkest storms, the light of community and connection could shine through, brighter and more impactful than ever. In that heartbeat of life and unity, Maya realized they were ready for the next chapter, whatever it might hold. Now this is your moment. Don't wait not even one more second. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories we have in store. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for this community. Comment below on your reactions and feelings about this ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand how important your actions are.